Okay. So, welcome to Cake or Death Radio.
Hello.
Will you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Matt Derrick. I own and run the website squattheplanet.com, an online community for misfit travelers.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, I think I told you it was 2006 or 2008 that I found Squat the Planet?
Could have been, yeah. I think you did mention that, yeah.
Okay. And it was amazing. Oh my god. I felt like there was nothing out there because at least at the time, and keep in mind, I didn't know really how to search the internet. I was not that kind of a person at that time. Like my interests weren't, search terms in my head. Like I couldn't, I was just like, oh, one day I'm into train hopping. So I kind of try to figure it out. And it's like people who train hop, they don't have blogs. They don't have whatever. And so I was like, how do I learn how to do this? Like I was so confused and I found squattheplanet.com and it was like, holy shit, there's like people do this. And it was, will you please tell me how you started squattheplanet.com?
Okay, sure. Basically, it started as a website to I'd set it up originally in 2001 and as a website to document my adventures with some friends of mine from LA as we went and traveled around Europe, but that trip never ended up happening. So, I had this website and, eventually a year or so later, I think it was in 2000. So that was actually before 2001, but in 2001, I left LA and it was a horrible, breakup with LA. It was just fuck this place and never coming back again. And and then I went traveling for full time at that point, you know what I mean? And then I just nonstop around the country. I ended up having all these adventures and stuff and it was really cool. And also this was way before blogs existed, So and I'm still a total fucking computer nerd. So I was just I have to get these nerdy tendencies out of me. So I was sitting there I'll make this website about this travels I'm doing right now. And I'll, coding it in Notepad on Windows and all this stuff. And you can actually still see the old version of the website too. It's squattheplanet.com/old. Nice. And, if you want to see some really ancient Flash and funny stuff. But yeah, so I just started making this website and then, and I had I think I had one of the first digital cameras. It was horrible quality. If you look at the pictures on the old website, it's just awful 640 pixel pictures, but that's all they had at the time, So so I had, I did that for a while and then it wasn't until you said I think it was 2006 maybe where I added a forum onto the website, and that's when other people started talking to each other and sharing all this stuff, and then that blew up crazy really fast. I think within 2 years, really? 2008 or so, that was way bigger than the blog portion of the website. Did you
anticipate that? Did you kind of get the impression that a forum?
Not really, just because there was maybe two or three other train hopping websites at the time. I can't remember one of them was deadhobos.com, it was just showed pictures of people with their heads cut off on the rails. God. It was awful. But the other one was Wes Mode's website, which I can't remember the URL of, but he was doing a similar thing where he had stories about train hopping.
Oh dude, I remember him.
Yeah. And his website was before mine, I think. So, but I think it's still around too. But anyways, I didn't anticipate that at all. So people sent me emails all the time oh man, I really dig your stories and stuff. And I love your website and the pictures and things like that. And, but you gotta understand too, the first version of the message board was just one of those shitty, like pro boards, like free thing where it's all like really crappily threaded and stuff, you know, but the people still used it, you know what I mean? They were like posting hi to each other. I was like, oh, that's cool. And this was all just like feeding my nerd tendencies, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, this is fun, you know, like I didn't really think much of it. And then eventually you got to the point where I was just like, well, I need to put a better message board on here so people can do more things and talk and share pictures, and you know, so I just kept improving it, and that like it was a total excuse for me to nerd out on the computer all the time, which is what I've always done. And yeah, and that's just kind of like it's totally snowballed into what it is today at this point. So yeah.
But so you were traveling long before Squat the Planet?
A little bit, yeah. Let's see. I'm trying. It's like you're trying to think back like 15 years. So it's
right.
I mean, I did go. I did go train hopping a little bit. Like so, like my first exposure to like traveling at all was in 1998, and my car broke down in Eugene, Oregon, and I ended up meeting all these like punks hanging out at the outdoor mall there, and we're just drinking beers and hanging out, and they were talking about hitchhiking and train hopping and stuff. And it was like, at that point in my life, like I was like super green, you know, like I was like 18 maybe at the time or something. And I was just like, holy shit, like this is like shit I only heard about like on TV and stuff, and like, you know, in books and things, you know, like people like hitchhike, like that happens in reality, you know what I mean? So that happened way before the website and stuff. And then I did that for a few months, and then
did what, like traveled around with them?
I followed them around up and down the West Coast for like, it was like 8 months or something.
But you were
like
on
that.
the road anyway, though, right?
Well, I did. My intention was at the time was to move to LA with some friends of mine, and that's when my car broke down. And then I met the kids at the mall, and I was like, dude, I totally want to hitchhike. Like, I sold everything in my car.
Dude, the timing, that is insane timing. That's amazing. Like, you're just kind of open to it, and then these people show up and they're just like, yeah, this shit is not that difficult.
Oh, yeah, totally. And they're, you know, just, you know, you get a few beers in yourself, and then, like, people are regaling you with these stories of, like, train hopping and things. And I'm, like, 18. I'm like, fuck it. I ain't got nothing else to do. I just graduated high school. So I was like, well, let's fucking do this, you know? And yeah, so I did that for a few months. And then I eventually did make it down to LA. And then I spent, like, 2 or almost 3 years in LA, living in LA, before I was like, fuck this, and like went back to the traveling thing in 2001. So.
Were you a different person? Like, I don't know how to say this. I don't know if this makes sense, but like when you were hanging out with the punks, were you like a different person than when you went to LA?
I mean, yeah, in a small, you know, I did at the time. I was like, yeah, I was like, after I got done, when I got to LA, I was like, wow, I've learned so much more about life in general in 6 months of being on the road than I have in my entire life growing up in Idaho, you know, like, so there was definitely that. I think there was definitely several phases in my life. Like, when I moved to New Orleans was a big one for me too, because like, I used to be like, I was a really like passive person, like afraid of conflict and things like that. And like, some of the jobs I got in New Orleans, like, were jobs where I had to, like, really step up and, and be aggressive and assert myself and things like that. So, like, I was a door guy for a while, security, and then I was a bartender for several years, and I got a lot of fights, in, you know, like, bartending in New Orleans, so, yeah. So those are, like, yeah, there was, like, 2 phases of my life for sure where I just, like, totally different person. Like if I saw myself like 15 years ago, I'd be like, holy crap, you know, like I've changed a lot for sure.
Man. Okay, so the punks turned you on to traveling, right?
Yeah.
And then
because the other thing is too that like I was like punk, you know,
okay.
Like Mohawk. They had Mohawks, so we're like saw each other from across the mall. You're like, okay, we have to hang out, you know, like type of thing. That's one of the things I loved about punk rock, you know, and like one of the things that really helped me out too, is just because like you see other punks and you just want to fucking like, okay, we have something in common, let's hang out, you know, like, and yeah, it was a good way to meet people and things. So,
okay, so I'm just trying to figure this out, how it worked out for you. It was like, okay, the way it worked for me was I read do you know Crime Think?
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so I read a Crime Think little pamphlet that's like how to do all this shit for free, like how to do like herbal abortions at home and how to travel for free, train hop, and it's like, say what?
Yeah.
And that was when I found Squat the Planet, because I was looking for more information. I was like, I want to travel, like I want to find out what that's about.
It's interesting the relation with the Squat the Planet and Crime Think, because like Crime Think at that time, like early 2001, 2002, like had a message board going, and it eventually just like, cause it's like an anarchist website, and there was a lot of like infighting and stuff like that. And it like to the point where like it eventually imploded.
I was going to ask you if that shit ever goes down with you guys.
Oh, dude, I could tell you about some fucking unholy fucking drama.
I can't imagine,
that,
dude.
like, oh my god, just like fucking almost ruined my life. But like, but yeah, that, you know, the Crime Think forums kind of like imploded a little bit, and then I think a lot of those people, and that's when Squat the Planet first started, like its forum. Well, I don't know if the dates are quite right there, but you know, eventually, like, what my point is that the Squat the Planet kind of like filled that hole, you know, of like a place for like anarchists and travelers to like hang out and stuff. And Days of War, Nights of Love was actually like a really huge influence, that book from Crime Think, in me leaving LA and like getting on the road full time, because I really didn't like settle down for the most part for the next like almost 8 years after that.
Wow.
So like 2001 to 2008, right around, so there somewhere.
Okay, I think I figured out what my question is. It's trying to understand. So when I read that, you know, like the Crime Think stuff, it was like I had some like ideology and philosophy, but it was more of just action. It was like, oh, I just want to try this thing, and I didn't have like a full story like I do now of kind of like a whole lifestyle, or like a code of ethics, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. So where were you at, like in the early days with, you know, the whole package, not just like, well, I'm traveling, like where were you kind of like, you know what I mean? Like ethics or like rules, like, you know, whatever.
Like, how did it feel?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, what were kind of the rules of the road at the time? Yeah. You know, it's interesting, like, I feel like it's a completely different dynamic now than it was, like, 10 or 15 years ago. Because,
for better
like,
or worse?
For worse, unfortunately. Yeah. Just because, like, I don't want to be like, oh, these damn kids today, you know, like, but, you know, like, when I first started, like, 2001, 2002, like, it really did feel like just, like, a bunch of, like, anarchist kids, like, running around on trains going from, like, demo to demo, and, like, festivals to protests and all this stuff, and, like, everyone at Travel was amazing, and really positive attitudes, and just, like, really, like, progressive thinking. And which was super helpful for me at the time, because like I grew up in a Christian school, so even back then, like I had like all these fucking backwards ass thoughts of like on like views on abortion and like just all kinds of like really misogynistic like type views and things like that. They're all like based out of like this super Christian upbringing, you know, and that. But being exposed to that community, like, really helped me work out of a lot of that stuff. So, nowadays, I feel like there's, like, I don't know if this is true or not. It's hard to tell because there's, like, no statistics or hard facts or whatever. But, like, it does feel like there's, like, a lot more scumfucks out there. But maybe they just get more of the attention. I don't know. But, like, just a lot of really scummy kids that, like, are, like, they're nihilists, you know? Like, nobody cares about anything. And, like, I don't know. It's just like, it's just not a fun, I don't know. I have problems with it for sure.
That was something I really actually wanted to hear your opinion about, because it's hard for me not to get emotionally involved when I see like that kind of culture where it's kind of like romanticized, or like just like people copy it. It just is so, it's like a caricature or something. And I just wonder, like, if just what you think of that, or how you deal with that, or how you make sense of it, especially being in a community where you're always dealing with so many people. And I'm sure that the loudest ones can be those kind of people who are just like, it's so draining, dude.
You know, I mean, there's been some ups and downs throughout like the lifespan of the Squat the Planet website for sure. But for the past like 5 or 6 years now, we've been in a really, really good place. And part of that, I think, is just really simple. Like scumfuck kids like that just like, you know, don't care about anything and travel or whatever. Like, they're not the type of people that go on the internet that often, and so doubly, they're not the people that go on Squat the Planet. Like, I jokingly say sometimes like we're like the like upper crusties, you know.
For sure, dude, that's awesome.
But in a good way, you know, like not like, oh, we're so much better than you,
right?
Like, but you know, just like hey, we have some standards and stuff, and like a little bit of hobo ethics and code, and I think we take more from like the DIY ethics of punk rock and the older like Depression era hobo code than other groups of people traveling on the rails today, you know. So I don't know if that answers that question completely, but
I have no idea if it did or not. But but that's definitely perspective. What was the thing you said? Like there was some drama or whatever that almost ruined.
Oh, dude, I mean, there's been a couple of times in my life where I almost just closed the website entirely.
Just like, people running a fucking muck, just like bullying, or what was it?
There was one of the most difficult transitions ever was that Squat the Planet started out as a train hopping, almost exclusively website, like, and it was just about train hopping because that's what I was doing at the time. Eventually I wanted to like branch out into like more different subjects and things, and you know, include all these other different forms of travel, because it just like after almost like 7 or 8 years of like of riding trains mostly, I was getting kind of bored, to be honest.
Really?
Like, yeah, like I was just like, well, I'm like aimlessly wandering, and I didn't really have any goals at the time, or, you know, whatever. So, and it was still fun and stuff, but like I was getting like it was getting a little bit tedious. So I like started like, well, maybe I'll raise my horizons a little bit, you know, and that's when I started checking out like at one point in my life, I got a school bus and like drove around the country in that, and I've lived on sailboats and done bike tours and like, all those types of things, you know, that are just like outside of the world of train hopping. And so, you know, the website I felt like the website had to grow along with me, right? So, I started adding all these different sections and expanding it to all these different ideas and styles of travel. And a lot of people got really fucking upset. Like, and some of like more, and that's when I started to like discover that there's like a really hardcore, like, I will say like totally elitist, like hi-hat given fucking, assholes that were just like, this is unacceptable. Like, you can't do this. Like, and one person in particular got really, really upset over the fact that I put the sex and relationships section on the website, which I understand was like maybe a little bit risque at the time, because nobody was talking about that stuff. But like, it is a part of the culture. And so I thought it was important to like give a space for that. But it got to the point where like, I'm not going to name names just because like, I don't want to give this person any more, clout than they feel like they have. But, I ended up firing one of my the administrators, and he got really upset, and it became this whole debacle where he convinced. Let's see, I'm trying to think of which portions of this story to tell with it, because it's a really long story, but I'll keep it short. He convinced one of the other administrators that I was a bad person, and they basically deleted my account off the website.
What? Holy shit,
and
dude.
then and then posted all this stuff about how I'd never traveled before and I'd never ridden a train and I'd been lying the whole time and I'd always ride Greyhound everywhere I go and like all this stuff. And
the look on your face when you said that was fucking priceless. Oh my God.
It was just like roll your eyes type of shit. You know what I mean? Just because like, there's pictures all over the internet of like just, of me on trains and stuff. But anyways, the worst part about it was that like most people bought it. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, oh my God, like, you know, cause these were really popular people on the message board, you know what I mean? So, they were like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Wow, Matt's a fucked up guy. Cause they were saying crazy shit like how I use the website to lure young women into,
oh my God,
like, you know, like, and all this shit. And they were just like, and they kept claiming they had evidence of all this stuff, but wouldn't provide anything and all this stuff. So it was a big ordeal for like a week. But the thing is like, I own the domain, I own the website hosting, like, it didn't take me long to get back into my own goddamn website, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like someone stealing your car and then like parking it in your driveway, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh well, yeah, you're real slick. But anyways, so yeah, I got it back and it was really, I mean, it was stressful and it was depressing because a lot of people wrote on on other websites and blogs at the time that like, oh, the administrator of Squat the Planet's been overthrown and he was a dictator and all this stuff because people just bought the line that they were given, you know what I mean? So,
what were they mad about? I don't understand. Like,
they were mad that that it wasn't Train Hop the Planet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but it was.
Why is that infuriating?
It was because
they're just aggressively purist about it.
Like, well, if you're not train hopping, like, then get
a lot
the fuck
of people
on?
Like have this like ingrained opinion that like, oh, like this like almost attitude that like they invented it. You know what I mean? And now everyone's exploiting the thing that they invented.
Right.
You know, like, which is not true, obviously. Right. But that's the way they feel. It's like they're very protective of the culture that they're involved in, you know, to the point where they're like, well, you know, you can't bring in these other things to it because that's not, you know, that's not hardcore train hopper enough or whatever. You know, it's a whole mental psychology that I see quite a lot. It's kind of died out over the past few years, but fortunately, it is something I see sometimes where people just get like really elitist about it and think that like if you're not train hopping all the time and if you're not doing 1,000 miles a year, you know, like minimum, you know, or like, you know, I have so many more miles on trains than you type of bullshit. Are those
people really for real though? Like, yeah, I mean, not just like in their head, but are they on the train, like typing that shit out on their phone or what?
Well, that's the thing too, is like, I mean, all of this occurred before most of us had cell phones.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
the kind of people who have stats under their like forum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Been there, bitch.
This is my mileage for the year. I've ridden this many companies.
I see that on guitar forums, you know?
Yeah.
These are my sweet guitars, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Check out my rig.
Nice.
Yeah, it is absurd, but like some people take that shit too seriously, and and I don't think you should take anything in life like super seriously. Like, I mean, you get fanaticals on the left and the right? So, I mean, it's just like anything else. Like, just if you get too fanatic about something, there's something wrong.
Do you just ignore, or do you ever try to like discuss when people kind of start getting crazy? Like, what do you do?
Like, if it occurs on the forums, like,
yeah. When people, if people start getting on a high horse about anything, do you feel like you're supposed to jump in, or do you feel like you should ignore and move along?
For the most part, like, I keep hands off as much as I can.
Okay.
Like, I mean, Squat the Planet is like, I consider it a sandbox for everyone to play in, you know, and we do get situations where people get out of control, but like, we do have rules. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we try to be as anarchist as we can, like, given what the format allows, you know, but we do always also, I personally believe that like anarchism isn't just chaos, like it's a like self-rule and all that good stuff. But, so we do have like rules on the website, and and they've been established for so long now that like they kind of like have started to set in stone, you know. So, and it's really basic stuff. Like, I mean, we have a "don't be a dick" rule, you know, like, and it basically states like, hey, this can mean a lot of things, but you know when you're being a dick.
For sure.
So don't be like, oh, I'm not, but you know you're being a dick. You're breaking the don't be a dick rule. So I don't know. I mean, if people, the point is if people don't break the rules, I kind of let it fly. But if it's also has nothing to do with the website or anything related to the culture, like we remove posts like that. Like we specifically in the rules, it says like we have the right to remove content that is not relevant, you know. So and we try to, you know, like I've got a really good moderator staff right now of people that have been there for like years, and it's really nice, and they're really awesome because they tend to like squash all that stuff. Like when people start flame wars and things like that, like they come in with extinguishers, you know, and just like they do a really great job of keeping that shit under control. So we don't get a whole lot of shit talking anymore. For a while it was really crazy, and it was devastating to a point where like I didn't want to look at my website for a while. I think there was one point where I just didn't go to my website for like 6 months.
Damn.
Like, and it was just so too depressing to like read all these like hi-hat train hoppers like just talking mad shit on anyone that didn't know what they were talking, you know, like newbies and things like that. So, but eventually we got out of it. You know, we worked our ways out of it. So, and it's been really great for like 5 or 6 years now. So, yeah.
So, do you know why new people come to the website?
I do, for the most part. I have like a pretty good idea.
Tell me about that.
Most people, as much as I to be honest, like I kind of downplay the whole train hopping thing as much as I can, just because like, A, the culture doesn't need that much exposure. B, it's not something I really do for the most part anymore. And C, there's like so many other different ways to like travel for free or cheap that like, it's not like being a part of our culture does not have the requirement that you have to train hop, you know? Like, there's plenty of people on Squat the Planet that never touched a train, you know? But they travel way more than any other train hopper does, you know? So, I'm sorry, I got a little off topic there. But
like, what are people looking for when they come, you know, as newbies?
That's right. Yeah, so what most people are looking for is, like, the reason I went off on the train hopping thing is just because a lot of people do come in, like, looking to train hop, but that's been kind of, like, going, that portion is becoming a little smaller and smaller. As the years go by, but more so than that, people are just like looking for different ways to like escape a life that they're not really happy with. And the thing is too is that like we don't just get like young kids like coming right out of high school, or like, and we don't get like mid-level. We get people from all different types of ages across the board. You know what I mean? Like some that even travel with families and things like that. You know, like so. People kind of like are just like, I think a lot of people just in general are looking for like ways to escape the like career cycle of, you know, just owning stuff and all those things. One of my big favorite things to tell people lately actually is that like I honestly believe like the millennial generation, especially more so than any other, is starting to come around to the concept that, like, unlike what we've been told our whole lives of like that we need to have like college and a career and stuff and a car and all this stuff, like that actually people are starting to discover that like experiences are more valuable than things, you know? And so like you can't take the things with you when you die, but I don't know if you can take the experiences either. But I mean, it seems to a reason that when you reach the end of this life, you know, you want to have experiences more than you want to have a nice car, you know? So like you want to look back on your life and say like, I did these things, you know, and had these adventures, you know, and that's the value is way more than anything you can buy in a store, you know? So I think ultimately that's what people are looking for. Like they're looking for a way out, some insight to a culture where they just like, they're just not happy with like consumerist culture, and they're looking for something different, whatever that might be. But ultimately, I think that's what people are looking for.
Do you think that travel, especially free travel or low-cost travel, just like taking a break from your life and doing this whole other thing, do you think somebody once told me that they just, you know, like humans, we're travelers, like that's just who we are on some level, like we need that, and if we are never doing that ever, if we never take that break, it's just something happens to us. I don't know how to explain
like we break inside
somehow.
Yeah,
like... we die. So, I mean, do you think that on any level? Like, do you think that?
I do. I think, I absolutely think it should be a requirement that people, at a minimum, take a gap year or something after high school. You know, like, I mean, that's a bottom rung, you know, like just like minimum, like if not like go traveling for several years, you know. And let's see, I think, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but
this is going to sound dumb, so you don't have to answer this, but why? So I guess what my question is why is traveling important? Is there an answer? Is that everybody?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
There's totally an answer.
Okay.
The answer is that it expands your horizons. It's like flexing a mental muscle. You know what I mean? Like, it's evolution. You know, in a way, because like, I always joke when I like the Bill Hicks quote. You know, like evolution did not end with us growing thumbs.
Oh,
you know, like I mean, if we look back on like the past 50 years alone, like the evolution in thought that we've had as a society, you know, like where, you know, especially as society, we've come around to like, gay marriage and, transgender folk, like, you know, being real people and not with mental disorders and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we still got a long way to go, but like it's starting to come around, and it's coming around in a quick way. Now, the reason I say that is because travel, if you live in this small bubble your whole life, like I was like living in Idaho, you know, like, and, less than 1%, you know, ethnic people, you know, like, and growing up in a Christian school and all this stuff, and that's all you know, then that's all you know. If you go out and travel and see the world and see how other people live in other cultures and other like class brackets of like, you know, rich, poor, you know, all that stuff, that expands your horizons infinitely. Like,
did you ever have a moment in the early days of traveling where you were like, I had no idea, you know, where you just see other people living normal life and they're not doing anything novel, and you're just like, oh my God, this is normal? I don't know. Where it just seems so like night and day to how you.
A little bit, like within the first year I first started traveling, like when I started traveling hardcore, 2000, like I came back to Idaho and saw a bunch of my friends from high school, like in like 2002, 2003 or something like that. And everyone was like, oh, like, hey, what have you been up to? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, oh, I got married, had kids, I, you know, did this and that, you know, went to college or whatever, you know, the rigmarole stuff. And I was just like, well, let me tell you what I've been up to, you know, like,
did their heads
and
explode?
then regale with stories and stuff like that. And that was the first time, and I'd started to kind of take it for granted at that point, you know, like the whole lifestyle and stuff. And the people's reactions were just like,
yeah,
you know, like mind's blown, and like, and not to say like, oh wow, I'm such a great person,
sure,
but like it really was like, holy cow, there really is like, I guess it is a crazy life I live or whatever, you know, and not everybody gets to do that, so I should. Like the point of Squat the Planet has always been to like, you know, expose other people to that lifestyle and like help other people get into it. no matter how little they know. So, and not judge people for that. So,
I like that last one, dude. People, that's awesome. Like,
yeah.
just, like making it accessible. Like that's
Yeah, totally.
Are there like reoccurring themes where people are like, I want to do this so bad, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, people got to get over attachments. You know what I mean? Just like any of us, though. Like, I had to get over attachments. Some people takes like years. It takes them like years to prepare and come around. And then there's like the people where they're just like dropped into it, like I was. You know what I mean? Like, and I just like had to sell everything all at once and just throw it away, or something horrible happened in my life, and I just like had to get away. You know, like, you know that's definitely, yeah. How you get into it happens in a multitude of ways. Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions, like, you know, for anybody who they're like, I want to do that, but they're just scared, or they don't even know what the first step is. I mean,
yeah, and we get a lot of people like that. To be honest, I'm trying to finish a book by the end of the year. And actually, this is probably the first time I publicly talked about it, but, it's called, I want to call it The Anarchist Guide to Travel. Just because I think it would be hilarious to see that on a bookshelf. But, also just because like, you know, like we get so many people asking the same questions coming in to Squat the Planet, you know, and if you've never heard of this lifestyle before or anything like that, you got a lot of questions, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to like, and most of those questions are the same, you know, like how do I, detach, you know, from things and go do this, you know, and there's all, you know, so in the book, I'm trying to answer those questions, but we also, you know, like we try to have like sticky threads and stuff like that for like the most pertinent information so that, you know, we don't have to answer the same question
right.
many times over. But, for people that are like just starting, like basically, man, we live in the internet age, and it's crazy because like, I didn't have this like when I first started out, you know, and I just like got totally lucky and like fell into it. And now we live in this age where we literally have like the collective like knowledge of mankind in our pockets, you know, like, and so I would just say like, you know, read a whole lot and research a whole lot, and then make sure you know what you're getting into, and then, you know, come to Squat the Planet, read all the posts, like get to know people, like ask questions, like, and, you know, for the people that are like in remote areas, like that don't have like access to like this kind of community, like I always tell people like try and like travel somewhere there is a community, like most major cities and stuff like that. Like I always tell people just hitchhike to like your local city and like meet people and meet another train hopper before you go on that train ride or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so you can learn from other people, because the real life experience is like way more valuable than anything you'll read on the internet, you know? But yeah, I mean, we're here for sure for anyone that's new. And I don't think there's anything like, some people, like we were talking earlier about how some people are like really protective of the culture and things
right.
like that. More so train hopping than other things, but I don't see anything to lose by getting more people involved, you know, like we either get like, I don't think our culture is just going to get flooded by assholes, you know, like right. we tend to weed people out, you know, like that. And so I think we're just going to have more people to hang out with and party with and live with and, you know, do cool projects, like tiny houses or whatever, you know, like, so yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I get a little ranty sometimes.
Well, so we talk about the Jamboree.
Yeah. What do you want to start on that?
Is this year? This is the first official one this year.
The second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, tell me how you came up with that.
Okay, so I totally stole the title from someone else. But I forget his name. It was just some random dude on the forum said like, oh, you should like have some kind of event where It's like, you know, the Boy Scouts, but like with dirty kids, you know, like, and, I forgot if it said Coin Jamboree or not, but, I mean, obviously that term's been around for a little while, but I was like, Dirty Kids Jamboree. Yeah. A total mockery of the Boy Scouts. You know? Like, so yeah, I was like, and we've had meetups before, actually, like, well, in 2009, we had one in Slab City, and then we had a couple other small ones, but last year was like the first time where it was like, okay, this is going to be a thing, and we're going to do it in Slab City, and it's be called the Dirty Scouts Jamboree, and we had it at the library in the Slab City, the Lizard Tree Library, which, for anyone that doesn't know, it's just like, there's so much stuff. Like, Slab City is like a squatter town in, Southern California. It used to be a military base, and they bulldozed it in the 60s, and there's all these concrete slabs and stuff. And that's where it got its name from. And everybody like parks and camps on these slabs in the RVs and stuff like that, and popular winter destination. So anyways, squatter town. And there's this library there amongst a plethora of just amazing shit out there, like art-wise, and like incredible sculptures and just cool people and all this shit. There's this library that this lady built, and it was like it's like, you know, leave a book, take a book, library, you know, and so it was like, it's just this cool, like, shanty, Mad Max looking library place, you know, in this Mad Max town, you know, and, she died, unfortunately, quite a few years ago, and it went abandoned for a long time, and it fell apart quite a bit, but then my friend Cornelius came to the Slabs, and she took it over, and she's been rebuilding it ever since, and it looks just as cool as it did back in the day, if not much better. And so people bring books, and there's like a bar in the middle of the library, and it's like this kind of like gypsy mansion looking type of place, and it's really cool. And so we had the Jamboree there last year, and it was amazing. Like, we had so much fun. We had literally no plans. Just everybody show up, and we'll meet up and see each other in real life for the first time, and it'll be awesome. And it was awesome. Way more awesome than I thought it could have been. Like, exceeded all my expectations, because we literally had no plans. And then we showed up, and then, like, this other guy who lives in Slab City, who I've met before, he came out and was like, hey, you guys want to go shoot guns this one day? And we're like, hell yeah. We had like 20 guns, like, including a musket, which was awesome. It's like having a cannon on your shoulder. But, and then somebody else brought fencing equipment.
Wow.
With like the face masks and everything. And like, so we're like sitting there like drunk fencing, and like, and at night we're just getting wasted, having a good time, you know, and we take like somebody's car out, and we went to the Glamis sand dunes and stuff, which looks like the Sahara. There's like no vegetation for as far as you can see, and you can just like roll down hills of sand, you know, and stuff, and that was super fun. And there's like, you know, there's a canal, so we're like swimming in the canal to cool off every day, and there's hot springs, and there's Salvation Mountain, and there's all these like crazy interesting places, and we had movie nights and all this stuff. So it was just like, was really fun. Everyone, like, the whole time, everyone was like, dude, we have to do this again next year.
That's amazing.
You know, like, and I was like, oh yeah, we're going to do this again next year. So yeah, this year, we're doing it October 21st to the 23rd. 3 days. I mean, although I'm going to be in Slab City all winter this year, working on the book. And so, yeah, people hang out afterwards. So if you want to party longer, you can, is what I'm saying. But yeah, it's really cool. Like, we got movie nights planned, and there's, hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying this, possible demolition derby.
Wow. Holy shit.
We got a car from LA that's coming out, and someone else wants to bring another car from Louisiana out, possibly. So we're thinking like, you know, go-kart, you know, smashy. It wouldn't be the first time I've seen a car burnt to the ground in the Slabs, is what I'm saying. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be chaos, but we're also gonna do some like interesting stuff. I think Cornelius wants to do like open mic, and we're gonna have people play music, and I want to do a storytelling contest, and I have special prizes for people that tell the best stories. I'm not gonna say what the prizes are yet, but they are gonna be totally badass, and yeah, so it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be really cool. If y'all get a chance to come out, you totally should.
I really want to come out. I have it plugged into my phone on the calendar.
It's not hard to get out to too if you just want to take a Greyhound bus out. You can take a bus almost all the way there. Yeah. So yeah.
And I'll link to the event in. I guess I'm gonna put this on YouTube or whatever. So I'll put.
Okay, cool.
That below.
It's really easy too. It's just squattheplant.com/fest.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah.
So for 8, you said you traveled for 8 years straight?
Pretty much. I mean, as straight as anybody can.
Sure.
Nobody rides 24/7. You know what I mean? You gotta take a break somewhere. I did go to college.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, I basically just took all the tuition and then didn't come back for 3 years. It was funny. I went to this hippie school in Olympia, and I took a class where I didn't have to physically be there. So I just took the money and traveled around, and I came back once a year to do a presentation on hobo studies. So that was my college career. I tell people anthropology.
Truly.
But it was the most half-assed anthropology, let me tell you. So, but yeah, I mean, so traveling as much as one can,
So I mean, I have my own idea of what the answer is, but let's just hear your answer. How do you make money when you're traveling?
Traditionally, most of my life, I've done the thing where you work for 4 or 6 months and then go travel for 4 or 6 months or something like that. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, I am really kind of getting into the idea of the whole digital nomad, remote work thing. I do website design freelance for people on the side. And I don't do it enough to for it to be a full-time job, but in our lifestyle, if I make $300 a month, and I'm traveling, I'm pretty fucking rich. In our community, it's God damn, Mr. Moneybags.
Exactly.
So, it's I can do that with one client, you know what I mean? So it's so that's cool. That's nice when that works out. But I don't super depend on it at this point. I do think it's really interesting culture though, because ironically, the people I do the website development for is a website about digital nomads.
Really?
And it's Squat the Planet for digital nomads. It's called locationindie.com. But they're super mainstream though. You know what I mean? I'm definitely the weirdo on that message board. They're oh my God, you're the crazy train hopper guy. But yeah, so, but yeah, I guess, I don't know. Interestingly enough, I was thinking about maybe, I have no plans past the end of the year, cause I'm just hardcore gonna work on this book, but after that, I was thinking about getting a job on a cruise ship for a few months, because I've actually been reading up on that, and it seems like a good gig because there's no place to spend your money, and so you come out with 10, 12,
Damn.
15 grand every 6 months or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because the room and board and all that stuff's provided, and I mean, but you got to be able to be on a ship for 6 months and deal probably with a bunch of rich assholes or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. There's opportunities everywhere. People work I've done migrant work too. I haven't done beats personally, but that was a hugely popular thing with the Dirty Kid crowd for a long time. You go work sugar beets. Excuse me. But I did work picking apples one summer up in New Hampshire, and gosh, just all kinds of random jobs. I worked in Yellowstone National Park for a summer, which was fucking amazing. Like, I had such a good time out there. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, and again, I try to get people to post about this stuff in the Making a Living section of the Squat the Planet website, just because, like, there are so many opportunities. Like, especially, like, even like, coolworks.com is like a really amazing website for finding like national parks jobs. So, like, there's all kinds of opportunities for sure. Like, for making money, you know, as long as you don't set your expectations too high.
Is the money issue, do you think a lot of people's biggest obstacle? Like, how would I do this? How would I, or is it something else?
I think it's a part of it, for sure. It might even be a large part of it, but I wouldn't say it's like not, I don't know. It's just a part. Like, I mean, if I was new to this, I would be afraid of like, oh my God, I'm broke and I don't know, like, how do I eat, you know, and things like that. And, but when you like start to realize things like, especially about American culture and like how much we waste food in our society and like how dumpster diving is not like disgusting if you do it right. Yep. And, you know, and things like that, like, you start to realize it's like, wow, this really isn't that hard. You know what I mean? So like, you know, it's just, everyone's just got to find those answers that they need to like address their concerns, and then all that starts to melt away, and then they're like, okay, I can do this, you know, so.
You said you lived on a boat, a sailboat?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So this is a crazy adventure, because, oh my God, I think I almost died a couple of times. So, me and my friend in Slab City, actually, my friend Ryan, who, we have a short-lived podcast on Squat the Planet that me and him did for a little while we were living on the boat. And I convinced him to take his savings and go with me to Key West. Well, we were going to go to Florida at first, and then we went to Key West and buy a sailboat, and we'd go sailing and learn how to sail. Now, keep in mind that I've never touched a sailboat before in my life, and B, I don't know how to swim.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, I was like, but we did it anyways, and we ended up buying a boat for about $2,500, and we named it the Liquid Courage, which is like the coolest name for a boat ever. And I pretty much just lived with a life preserver on me at all times. Like, and I did eventually learn how to swim, which was cool. And we thought we were just gonna like hang out with a bunch of old people. You know what I mean? Like on sailboats. And like, actually turned out that there was like a small group of like punk rock kids like living on boats and fixing up their own boats and stuff. And they saw us like working on our boat, and they were just like, you know, kind of like punk, you know, like we were just like looking at our like t-shirts and stuff, and like, okay, like we probably have something in common with these people. And we met all of them, and they were phenomenal. Like all of them were really great about. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them, because they taught us like everything we needed to know about sailing, like helped us fix our boat up, like, you know, just come hang out and drink beers with us when we're out in the water, like, all kinds of stuff like that. And those same people actually now, they do a yearly gathering in Guatemala. Wow. I think they're calling it the Sea Assault Fest, now. I don't know the website for it, but I'm sure you could Google it. But yeah, if you want to like meet up with a bunch of like punk kids on boats, like in a crazy foreign country, like that would be the way to do it. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of adventures for sure. Like, I mean, like I said, like I can't swim. Well, I mean, I couldn't swim at the time, and I think I was 34 at the time. And I just never learned how to swim. But anyways, there was like one time we took the dinghy to shore. It was a friend of ours' dinghy. And like and we were going along, and he turns and looked at me really calmly, like, you know, just like, hey, can you help me bail out the back of the boat? You know, and I'm just like, sure, because that happens all the time. There's always water in the boat. Like, and I turn around and the engine's underwater. I was like, oh shit. Like, started bailing out water like crazy, and just the whole boat went under, like, within like 10 seconds, you know what I mean? Just like, and there was like 5 or 6 of us in the boat, you know what I mean? So, or dinghy or whatever. And I was just like, I was standing there and the water's coming up to my knees and then up to my chest. I'm like, hey guys, I don't know how to swim. And then I didn't have a life vest on either. So, and I grabbed onto the first thing I saw, which was a beer cooler. And I was sitting there floating, holding onto this beer cooler in the ocean, just like, everyone's like, are you okay, Matt? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm okay. Like, a little freaked out, but you know, cause the beer cooler was like bigger than I could get my hands around and it kept like rotating. But, but then these Australians came and picked us up and all this stuff and it was like this thing. And the funny thing was too, like the thing I was like, God damn it, like my fucking GoPro and my camera and my gear, my backpack was all in that boat and it's now sitting at the fucking bottom of the ocean, right? And I got to shore and, our friend showed up and pulls this soaking wet backpack and he's like, here you go. And I was like, oh my God. Like, turned out we had like all these, like, we were going to fill up water with, the gallon jugs, you know? And the gallon jugs had kept the backpack afloat.
Nice.
You know, like, and so it didn't sink to the bottom of the ocean and everything was in Pelican, like, waterproof cases. So all my electronics and shit were fine.
Unreal,
like, I was
dude.
like, oh my God, that's so amazing. I'm not dead and my shit's okay. So that was just like one thing too, you know what I mean? Like, there was all kinds of shit that happened out there too, like, including one of our sailor friends died, unfortunately. Like, it was weird. Like, I have this video it's on the Squat the Planet YouTube, but, we sailed out to the Dry Tortugas and a friend of us followed us out there and then followed us back and they disappeared halfway and then they found him in like Cuba like 2 months later.
Wow.
Like just like floating and like he'd like gotten tangled up in the cords and stuff like that or something like that. Something had happened and he drowned, unfortunately, which is total bummer, like obviously, but like it was kind of a reality check for us a little bit, you know what I mean? Just like, we would need to be fucking careful, you know? It's not all fun and games, but it was mostly fun and games, you know? So, yeah. So, I mean, it was a good time out there, but God, Key West gets so hot in April, much less, I can't imagine the summer. I could walk like 2 blocks and like have to sit down, you know what I mean? It's
That
like,
is awful.
I was just trudging along trying to go to the store like, and I was just like, I can't take this anymore. So I left eventually after like 6 months of being on this boat and Ryan's still out there. He's been out there ever since. So he's been out there like 3 years or something like that. So, but he's talking about, I think he's going to sell his boat and get a cabin in Montana or something like that. So yeah. But yeah, it was fun while it lasted. I would definitely tell anyone to do it. Like it's really interesting, and you can do it for cheap too. Like the whole reason we went out there is because we saw this documentary called Hold Fast, by was it Moxie Marlinspike, and that really inspired us to like, oh man, we can just like get a crappy boat and fix it up and do it for fairly cheap, and you can. But there's a reason why there's not like a shit ton of like punk kids like going out there, like, cause it takes a degree of responsibility because shit's always breaking on a boat, like, and you always have to maintain it and fix it and, you know, get money somehow to fix it because, I mean, it's no longer like a rich man's game, you know, like it used to be like a long time ago, the whole sailing thing, but, it's definitely a whole level of responsibility that's just like, you're not going to see a whole lot of train hoppers on boats, but yeah, it's awesome. I think more people should do it just because you can literally go anywhere you want in the world for like incredibly cheap. So
my mind is blown. Holy cow. You said that you biked Europe?
A little bit, yeah. From Amsterdam to Paris. And that was, God, I want to say it was like 2006 or 7, maybe. It's kind of hard to remember. Mm-hmm. It definitely wasn't 2008, but it was cool. It was super easy. Super, super easy. Fucking retardedly easy. Like,
How many miles was that?
I think it was only like 600 or 700,
That's
maybe.
amazing, though.
It's hard for me to remember because it was long ago, but it was also everything's in kilometers as well. So it's like I wasn't keeping track in miles, but it's super flat, like incredibly flat, and there's custom made bike paths the entire way, like all the way through the Netherlands into Belgium and shit. Practically all the way through France. It's crazy. So it was I had no practice, never been on a bike tour or anything like that in my life. So that was my first one, and it was really easy. There was a couple of times though, like where, like we went in like an 80-kilometer circle, and I did have a little bit of a meltdown because we started off the morning, the sun was rising, and then the sun was setting. We got in the exact same place what we were when the sun was rising. I was like, son of a bitch! I biked out. I did have a meltdown a little bit, but my friend was really nice about it. But yeah, France was the shit. Like, France is like New York City, except, Paris. Yeah, it's like New York City, but, French, obviously. And, we went to the catacombs and the Sacré-Cœur church and the Eiffel Tower and all that crap. Dude, the catacombs are metal as fuck. Like, oh my God, like, totally awesome. Like, just skulls everywhere. I was just like a death clock playing in my head the whole time I was on the tour. Like, yeah, this is amazing. But yeah, so I mean, it was pretty awesome. It's super easy. I think everyone should do it. Our goal was to go all around Europe for like 6 months, but we ran out of money after like a month and a half.
How long did you plan before you? Was that impulsive?
We hardly planned at all. It was so poorly planned, and which is why I blew through like several grand, because I was just drinking in bars and it was poorly planned. If I did it again, I would live off of bread and cheese and just drink wine from the stores, because that's like the cheapest stuff in France, and I would not go to bars and things like that because they're super expensive. But yeah.
Holy cow.
I did take the ice train back to London too, which was really fun. It's like one of the fastest trains in the world. Like, it's like 250 miles an hour or something like that. Like, it got from like Paris to London in like 2.5-3 hours or something like that. Like, it was crazy. But anyways.
Was there anything, either while being on the sailboat or bike touring or anything like that, or even train hopping, that was surprising? Before the first time I went train hopping, I tried to find all this information, and all I could really find was Squat the Planet and the documentary Catching Out. Had you ever seen that?
I have, yeah.
So I watched that, and that was kind of that documentary was kind of like, oh, this is what it's gonna be like. Or this is what it's gonna feel like. This is what it's gonna, look like or whatever. And then, it felt nothing like the way anybody described it. For me, it was like sitting on a train, like whatever, 12 hours a day or whatever, or I guess 24 hours a day if you're riding. Just like looking at clouds, looking at trees, taking cat naps, like, it was just like meditation. It was so fucking chill. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I wasn't expecting it to feel so, like, relaxed. I don't know why. Did you have any interesting thoughts or feelings when you were doing any of your adventures where you're like, oh, this is...
I mean, I was obviously super duper nervous, like the first couple of... Because the first time I rode a train was in Sacramento up to Klamath Falls, and that was before I went to LA and stuff, so that was in 98, yeah. And again, it was just one of those foreign concepts to me at the time. Like, like people were hitchhiking and train hopping and stuff, but I hadn't done it. And then we got stuck in Sacramento for like a week trying to hitchhike. And then finally we met these kids who were like, we were gonna go hop trains, and we're like, oh, cool. Like, what do we do? Just hang on to the ladders the whole time? Like, I was like, literally at that point, like, I don't know what to do. Like, and they're like, no, like, we get in these boxcars and stuff. We'll show you. And I was just like, you know, on the boxcar with these kids, and like, it's, you know, starting to take off, and the police going by. I'm just like trying to like meld myself into the metal, you know, like just like trying to be as low profile as I can, and just like praying to God that I didn't get caught, because I again, back then I was like way more nervous about the police and stuff like that, like so I was just like always afraid, deathly afraid of the police, like yeah, so I was just like really nervous. But I mean, you know, you do it a couple of times, and it's like you said, it's just like watching the scenery go by, and like appreciating nature, and yeah, it was pretty cool. I can't say for the most part, I can't think of anything immediately that was like super surprising. I mean, I've seen crazy stuff on the side of the rails. Like most recently, I saw like a dead bear next to the railroad tracks. It obviously gotten hit by the train or something, so that was crazy. And I got a picture of it too, like just in time. I was like, oh ha, sweet. And I've seen like train derailments, like on the sides of the railroad tracks, and things like that. But yeah, I mean, was it always like much different than I thought it would be? I mean, as much as anything you would see on TV, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I remember thinking like LA would be like super awesome and glamorous. Yeah. Because like that's all you see is like sunshine and palm trees on TV and movies. And then I moved to LA, and oh my god, what a shithole! You know, like it's just smog and trash and all this kinds of stuff. You know, so the way it's portrayed in the media and how it actually feels to actually be there is like, yeah, it's always a big difference. So
when you travel, do you go through cycles where you're actually out? You know what I mean, like out on the road, and then you're like, you know, like in an apartment or something, kind of figuring out the next move, or? Yeah,
usually. You know, when I'm working, I usually have like a place to live or a place to crash or something like that. You know, I think I've done a lot less couch surfing on friends' couches the older I get, but I don't know. I mean, so part of that was like one of the things I really liked about Austin is that there's like a lot of greenery here, and so I started I was just like, you know, why pay rent? Like, I'm just going to pitch a tent and live in the woods and bike to town every day. So I did that for a while. And then eventually, like, my friend Courtney, who I worked with, you know, like, one of his roommates moved out. It was just, like, easier to, like, I started staying here regularly and then eventually moving in. So, but, you know, yeah, I just, you know, I go back and forth between having a place sometimes and not, you know. Ideally, I want to just live in a vehicle. But I think I'm going to have to put that off for a while just because I really want to do a bunch of international travel before I get attached to a vehicle. So,
what kind of international travel do you have in mind?
Well, assuming everything pans out with this bike trip down the West Coast that I'm taking in the next 3 weeks, you know, I think for some reason, I think it's because it's so cheap to get there. Like, I want to go to Europe. Specifically the UK, and because I really want to go like document a bunch of the squats and people living in squats out there, like, and see what that's all like. And there's a lot of people on Squat the Planet who are from the UK and stuff, so it'd be nice to meet some of those people and stuff. But I also just like, for some reason, I just had this idea of like biking across it to like up to Scotland and then maybe out to the, you know, Ireland and things like that. And then eventually I want to, like, top of the list but most expensive is I want to go bike across Australia. But it's really expensive to get out there. So, you know, that'll be mostly a matter of like having the finances to do it, I guess. So, but you can do it for fairly cheap. I mean, you know, you can do like LA to Sydney for like $800 round trip. You know, is that round trip? I'm trying to remember. No, I think that's one way. Big difference. But still, you know, 1,600 to get there and back, and you know, go to New Zealand and all that stuff too. So. Those are like my major goals, and I'm really interested in Eastern Europe as well, possibly like northeastern, like Norway and things like that. But yeah, and I've gotten a mild interest for like Southeast Asia, but I'm not really interested in. I'll tell you what I'm not interested in is Africa and South America, and India, and China, and maybe a little bit of Russia. I'm not sure. I haven't decided on Russia yet, but I have a lot of friends that go to those places, and I'm sure they're really great places. It's just like, top of my list is like, Australia and Eastern Europe. So.
Do you have a blog on Squat? Like, do you post? Like, do you have a spot where you specifically post your travels?
I don't. Haven't for a really long time. I don't know I haven't figured out how to incorporate that. Like, that's like on Squat the Planet, one of the big design struggles I've like literally been struggling with for like 8 years is like how to make a blog and a forum work together and not have one overrun the other. Right now, like any adventures that I post in the future, we've established a system. There's a featured page, and so at the top of the website it says home, featured, and then a bunch of other links. And I just like feature, quote unquote, threads I think that are interesting, and sometimes that might be my own content or whatever, so it's kind of like a pseudo blog type of thing going on there, but like without nearly as much commitment because we're really bad at commitment. I've tried to have an article section. I've tried to get people to write for Squat the Planet, and it's just like it's really fucking hard to get anyone to commit to that. So, which is fine, it's just like, why struggle against something that people won't do? So, I just pick and choose like the best parts of threads from the forums and put it in the featured section. And that way if people that way it doesn't get totally lost under a pile of new threads. But, someone that's new to Squat the Planet can go there and be like, oh, featured content. This is obviously the cream of the crop, and they can go look through what I think is really, really fucking interesting shit. So,
dude, I like the what is it, like a thread or whatever? No, not thread. It's whatever the thing is about like avoid these shady people, and it's like people like put like shit like I know that shit's not funny, but that shit is funny. Like, there's some
you should rename it to the Drama Center or something like that. Yeah, actually, I started that specifically because of one person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You were like, "Hey, everybody, for real, this person,
this
avoid.
guy fucking sucks." And it really was. He was an administrator of Squat the Planet for a while. It's kind of like, I won't go into the full thing, but his picture is the picture on the untrustworthy and shady people section. It is his picture. I'm trying to remember his real name. It's in the section. His name was Cat. He went by Cat Bastard. And, we got along really well. We met here in Austin, actually, and had a lot of the same views and stuff on the community and things like that. And he became an admin at one point. Then a bunch of bullshit happened in Slab City. He stole a bunch of money and lied about a bunch of stuff. And then eventually we found out that he was how do I put this? He was a child molester.
Damn.
And he had been convicted of raping both of his sisters and didn't tell anybody about it. You know what I mean? And was not registering as a sex offender like wherever he went, basically. So, and he got caught several times, and he spent a lot of time in jail over the past 3 or 4 years since that happened. I don't know if he's still in jail right now. But yeah, I mean, his sisters have posted, his former girlfriends and wives have posted and all this stuff, and he is a fucking terrible person. And so that was like, I was like, well, we gotta have, this is gonna stir up some shit because unfortunately not everybody in the community is awesome. And some people are real fucking shitheads, and they'll use. So I was hesitant to start that section, but at the same time, I was like, we need something to post something for as a warning to others for genuinely dangerous people, you know. And I felt that Cat Bastard was, and people have posted other things too, and it's a heavily moderated forum. Because of the fact that people post petty things sometimes.
Because they get butthurt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we have to come in and play cop sometimes. Like, most recently, someone was like, this person's, like, raped all these people. And then the person came in and was like, dude, what the fuck are these people? Like, why is this here on Squat the Planet? And we have to sit there and be like, look, we're sorry. We can't take responsibility for what other people post. Like, and then we have to sit there and like weigh the evidence and all this shit and like see who's lying and people have used it to like make other people look bad, you know what I mean? Which is shitty as fuck, you know, like something that's genuinely supposed to protect people ends up hurting other people, you know what I mean? Just because people choose to use it in the wrong way. So it's by far the most dramatic area of Squat the Planet. And sometimes I wonder if we should have it at all. But at this point, I think it warns people more than it is a detriment to the website. So
well, and there was a really good article. I don't know if you wrote it or not. It was essentially like, here's a bunch of things to look out for when choosing a road dog.
Oh yeah, that was Molotov Mocktail. Or Molotov Cocktail, sorry. Or Molotov Mocktail? A mocktail, sorry. I get his names confused.
That was really well written.
Yeah.
It was like, people, you know, not everybody's cool, and these are things you should not feel ashamed to ask for. And if you feel uncomfortable at any point, leave. Shit like that. It was like really basic stuff that we all like disregard when we're around our tribe or whatever, like throw out.
Like we all think that, hey, you're awesome, I'm awesome,
right?
Like we're all awesome, right? And then you know, anybody that comes in is awesome, and it turns out not to be the case. Like, Molotov Mocktail wrote the majority of that, but he ran it through our staff section, and we put in a lot of our own input too. So he added a bunch of stuff to it, which I think helped a lot to rounding it out, you know. So he did all the work on it and everything. So he did a really great job on that. And I think it is one of my favorite articles about, like what to look out for in people and stuff, you know, and we have it in our resources section and in the featured section and all that stuff. So I hope everybody will read it, you know, like, so, but yeah, it's a pretty cool article.
What else?
I don't know.
What else? Anything else?
Everybody should come out to the Jamboree. Like, for real. Like, if you want to, like, experience, like, a total Mad Max, like, I won't say utopia is a strong word, but, cause there's some bad things about the slabs for sure, but like, but it is a very anarchistic, like, Mad Max society. And I love the desert personally. Like, I love hot, dry weather, and I'm totally obsessed with like the apocalypse and Mad Max type shit, you know. So that's why I love Slab City so much. And yeah, if you want to go have a party out in a place like that, like, it's the place to go, man. And there's gonna be, I'm sure we're gonna blow something up.
Dude,
and
yes.
It's gonna be tons and tons of fun. So, oh, and you know, I forgot the other thing too, is that I'm trying to organize like people with cars, and we're gonna do some tours around the Salton Sea too. So we'll go out to the Salton Sea. You can see how fucking fucked up it is, and like full of dead fish.
Holy shit!
It's like some of the beaches are like literally like ground up fish bone, like instead of sand. So it's like crunches under your feet. Like, it's fucking weird. Like, and there's like a whole bunch of abandoned buildings and stuff and like that out there, you know. So like, we're gonna definitely go explore some cool shit in the immediate region, like the mud pots. It's like, you know, there's a lot of geothermic activity out there. So there's like these mud pots that are like like 6 foot high, like volcanoes where like hot mud comes out and you can go play in the mud and have a good time. It's really fun. Like, so yeah, there's all kinds of cool shit to do out there. So I like highly recommend people check it out.
Very cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm definitely, I'll answer more questions if you have any, but
I feel like I have one more question, but I don't even know what the question is, but it was like in regard to like making sense of being an alternative person and finding your way in a world where it, you know, there's like cookie cutter and then there's everything else, and everything else doesn't really always have a name or like a path, you know? Like just trying to make sense of that. I don't know. It's like I don't know what the question is, but I feel like I have a lot of friends and acquaintances that are just they just don't fit in society. They have a very hard time functioning. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like, they travel. It's like, that makes sense, that fits. I don't know. I'm not really sure where I'm going with it. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts at all.
I think about it all the time. I mean, I hate... It's the easiest analogy to make, but I kind of hate it too. It's like the whole Matrix, like blue pill, red pill analogy, you know, because it's like super cliche, right? But like, but the thing is that like, I'm trying to think of how to put this. Like, there's people that were like, not everybody's special, right? Like, you're not a unique snowflake, all that jazz, you know, type of shit, you know, like there are absolutely people put on this earth purely to be a cog in the machine. Now I hope that whoever's listening to this or like interested in this lifestyle is like not one of those people, you know, and interested in doing something different. Like it could be anything. Like I'm not saying like you have to commit to squat the planet like your whole life or like be a hobo nomad traveler, like 100% balls out all the time. Like if you just want to dip your toe in traveling and do it for a couple months and then live the rest of your life, that's fine. Like, because that experience like enriches you, you know, even just a little bit, you know? And, so I don't know. I just think, if you feel like life just isn't giving you enough, then it's your job to do something about it. Like, it's not going to fall into your lap. You know, nobody's going to do it for you, but you know, you got to actively do something today to like make a step towards making a change in your own life. Because, like personally, like I'm an atheist. Like I don't believe in God and all that stuff. I think it's a kind of a crutch, for people. And I believe in the power of the individual, you know, and so, you know, you have the power to like make a change in your life today and sound like an evangelist. Yeah. But you know, you have the power to make a change in your life and go, you know, change your life from being sad to happy, man. I always see, one of the big motivating things in my life has always been like I love Fight Club, right? And I've read the book like 3 or 4 times. And I always loved that saying that, how would you feel about your life? If you died today, how would you feel about your life? You know, I spray painted that on a building once. And, yeah, it was, and for the longest time, I kept thinking about it and I was like, I am not happy. Like, and that went on for many, many years, you know, and it wasn't until like I started traveling and experiencing things and just seeing the world that I like finally was able to look back on my life and say like, you know, if I died today, I'd be a little upset. But I left you know, like I did all this stuff, man. Like I feel good about that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel good about my life. Like, and that started to change. The answer to that question. It's a morbid question for sure, but if you look at it the right way, it's a very motivating question. You know, like if you don't feel good about it, then you need to do something to change it right now. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Sure,
you.
no problem.